I used to think my wife and I were unbreakable. 8 years together, woven with laughter, inside jokes, and lazy Sundays, all of it felt unshakable, like a foundation that could withstand any storm. But lately, something had shifted, almost imperceptibly at first. She stopped smiling as much, that radiant smile that used to light up a room. And I, in turn, stopped asking why. We began to move through our home like ghosts, polite, distant, two familiar strangers sharing a space but not a life. The silence between us grew louder than any words we ever spoke. One night, the weight of it all became too much. I broke down. I thought she was sound asleep, lost in her dreams, but I just couldn't hold it in anymore. The dam of my emotions finally burst. I sat by the living room window, staring out at the lonely glow of a single streetlight, and let the tears fall silently down my face. I thought I was completely alone in my despair, so I whispered into the darkness, a confession to myself. I don't even know if she loves me anymore. The words hung in the air, heavy and heartbreaking. The next morning was different. She handed me a cup of coffee, just the way I like it, something she hadn't done in weeks, maybe even months. Her voice was soft, fragile, as if she were handling something precious that might break. "I saw you cry last night." I froze, the warm mug suddenly feeling cold in my hands. My heart hammered against my ribs. You were awake," I managed to stammer. She nodded slowly, her eyes holding a depth of sorrow I hadn't seen in so long. "You said you don't know if I love you anymore." My throat tightened, and it felt like I couldn't breathe. A wave of embarrassment and shame washed over me. "I didn't mean for you to hear that. It was a private moment of weakness, a thought I never intended to share." "But I did," she said quietly, her gaze unwavering. And it broke me. In that single moment, the wall we had built between us began to crumble. Her words weren't an accusation. They were a revelation. My silent pain hadn't gone unnoticed after all. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, we talked TI. We really talked. Not about groceries or bills, but about everything we'd been hiding from each other. The unspoken fears, the quiet resentments, the heavy burdens we were carrying alone. She told me about her mother's illness, how she'd been carrying that worry in secret, not wanting to add to my stress. I told her about the endless work hours, how I felt like I was failing at my job and failing at home, drowning in pressure. We laid bare the unspoken loneliness that had crept into our lives and made its home in the space between us. "I thought you didn't need me anymore," she confessed, her voice cracking. "You stopped holding my hand. You stopped looking at me the way you used to, like I was the only person in the world." I shook my head, my own tears welling up, blurring her face. "I thought giving you space was helping," I explained, my voice thick with regret. "I saw you were struggling, and I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't realize I was just pushing you away." It was a painful, but necessary, moment of truth. We had both been making assumptions, trying to protect each other by creating a distance that nearly destroyed us. That night, after our long, tearful conversation, I was putting away some laundry when I found something tucked away in her bedside drawer. It was a half-written letter, folded neatly with my name on it. My hands trembled as I opened it. The words inside were a gut punch of love and sorrow. "If you ever find this," it began, "I want you to know I never stopped loving you. I just forgot how to show it. I forgot how to reach for you in the dark." She'd never finished the letter. Maybe she didn't know how, or maybe she lost hope that I would ever find it. I folded it carefully and, instead of confronting her, I slipped it under her pillow while she slept. It was a quiet message, no words needed. "I found it. I understand. I hear you." The weeks that followed turned into months of healing. We started again, rebuilding our connection one small, deliberate gesture at a time. It began with morning coffee together. No phones, just us. Then came the evening walks, holding hands like we used to. There were random I love yous whispered during the day, reaffirming what we almost lost. It wasn't about grand gestures. It was about the consistent, quiet work of being present. She started painting again, her canvases slowly filling with color, and I started coming home from work on time, making our evenings a priority. We weren't perfect. We still had our disagreements and our off days. But we were honest. We learned to talk about the hard things before they could fester in the silence. And one night, as we were watching a movie, she rested her head on my shoulder, fitting perfectly in the space she always had. She whispered, her voice warm and sure, "You don't have to cry alone anymore." I smiled, and this time, the tears that came were tears of gratitude, not despair. "I know," I said softly, holding her a little tighter. "Because this time, you were listening." Sometimes, love doesn't end with silence. It's just waiting for someone brave enough to break it. Thank you for being here and sharing this story with me. If it touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more stories about the human connection. See you next time. A year had passed since that night. Our home finally felt alive again. There was laughter, warmth, and shared mornings over coffee. We'd learned to be honest, to speak up before silence could build another wall between us. I truly thought we had made it through the worst. Then one afternoon, everything changed. I was helping her pack for a short trip to visit her mother. Her phone was on the bed, and it buzzed. Just a quick flash on the screen, but it was enough. A message preview from an unknown number. "You still think about what we almost had?" My chest went cold. It felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. All the warmth, all the trust we had so painstakingly rebuilt, suddenly felt fragile, like glass. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I told myself to breathe. I trusted Hai, really, really did. We had come so far. But that one sentence, "what we almost had," burned itself into my mind. It played on a loop for hours, each word twisting into a new, more painful shape. The next morning, when she left for her trip, I put on a brave face. I kissed her goodbye, told her to drive safe. But the moment her car was out of sight, I couldn't focus. The house felt too quiet again. Who was that? What did that message even mean? Was it someone from her past before me? Someone she used to love? Or worse, was it someone new? The not knowing was a special kind of torture. When she came home 2 days later, I couldn't pretend anymore. I had rehearsed what I would say 100 times, but when I saw her, all my carefully crafted words disappeared. As she set her bags down, I just asked, my voice barely a whisper, "Who texted you?" She froze. The smile on her face faded. Then she let out a long, tired sigh. "You read it?" "I saw the name," I said, my voice flat, or the lack of one. She didn't get defensive. She just sat down on the edge of the couch, staring at her hands as if the answer was written there. "It was from an old friend," she said softly. "From before you. We used to be close, but nothing ever happened. He reached out a few weeks ago, and I ignored him." I didn't reply this time either. My heart was pounding. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, the hurt clear in my voice. Her head snapped up, and her eyes met mine. They were filled with something I didn't expect. "Because I was afraid you'd stop trusting me again." Her voice broke on the last word. And in that moment, I didn't see guilt in her eyes. I saw fear. The raw fear of losing everything we had worked so hard to rebuild. That night, the air was still thick with tension. Then she did something that completely disarmed me. She sat next to me, unlocked her phone, and opened her messages. She showed me everything. There was nothing hidden, no secret replies, no clandestine conversations. Just that one single text, sitting there unanswered. And then she did something more. Without a word, she blocked the number, deleted the entire thread, and handed her phone to me. Her hands were shaking slightly. "I don't want anything from my past to come between us," she said, her voice firm, but her eyes glistening with tears. Not again. I didn't need to read any more. I just nodded. A wave of relief washed over me, so powerful it almost knocked the wind out of me. And right behind it came a sharp sting of shame. I had promised to trust her, and at the first sign of trouble, I had let my fear take over. "I'm sorry," I said quietly, my voice thick with emotion. "I promised I'd trust you." She managed a faint smile through her tears. "And I promised I'd never give you a reason not to." About a week later, I was cleaning out the study, trying to make space. I picked up her old sketchbook, flipping through the pages. Tucked inside was a crumpled piece of paper. It looked like a note she'd written, but had never sent. Her handwriting was rushed, emotional. It read, "If you ever doubt me again, I hope you remember the night you cried." And I stayed awake, leavening, breaking, loving you in silence. I sat there for a long time, just holding that note in my hands. The paper felt heavy, filled with a love I hadn't fully understood. I realized then that love isn't about never having doubts. It's not about a perfect, unbroken faith. It's about choosing to believe in the other person again and again, even when it's hard. It's about remembering the nights you held each other through the storm. Months later, we visited her mother's home together. It was a beautiful, sunny afternoon. On the drive back, as the sun began to set, she leaned her head against my shoulder. The car was quiet, except for the hum of the road. She whispered so softly I almost missed it. "You know what I realized? Sometimes it's not about finding a perfect love. It's about protecting the imperfect one that's real." I looked at her, at the way the light caught her hair, and I smiled. A real, genuine smile that reached my eyes. And I think that's what we're finally doing. Love doesn't heal once. It heals every day you choose to stay, even when the ghosts of doubt knock again. Thank you so much for watching and for being a part of this story. If this resonated with you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It means the world. See you next time. Start of narration: 5 years had passed since that night. The night she found me on the balcony, lost in my own silent storm, and whispered, "You don't have to cry alone anymore." And she meant it. For 5 years, she kept that promise. Our love story wasn't a fairy tale, it was real. It had weathered financial storms, navigated the treacherous waters of silence, and fought off the shadows of doubt that creep into even the strongest bonds. We had grown stronger together, yes, but also older, wiser, and softer around the edges. Our little apartment, once just a place to live, had become a sanctuary, filled with the scent of her paintings and the echo of our shared laughter. We had built a life, a quiet, beautiful life. And then, one ordinary Tuesday afternoon, the doctor called her name. That single word, diagnosis, it didn't just hang in the air, it shattered it. It landed in the sterile quiet of the examination room and fractured the world we had so carefully built. "We caught it early," they said. "It's treatable," they assured us. They offered words of hope, clinical and measured. But hope is a funny thing. It has a sound, a delicate melody. And on that day, I learned that even the most beautiful melody trembles when fear walks into the room. Fear was a cold, heavy presence, and it had just sat down between us. In that moment, our future, which had seemed so clear and bright, became a winding, uncertain path through a dense fog. "Alina," she smiled through it all. It was a smile that became her armor. Through the grueling rounds of chemo, through the mornings she'd wake up to find more of her beautiful hair on the pillow, through the long, draining days when the smell of food made her nauseous. She'd catch me looking at her, my face a mess of worry, and she'd muster a smirk. "You are not allowed to look at me like I'm fragile," she'd say, her voice a little weaker. "But the fire's still there. I'm still the same woman who stole your coffee every single morning because you take too long to get out of bed." And I'd force a smile back, a hollow echo of the real thing, even as my hands shook while I helped her settle into bed at night. I tried to be her rock, her unwavering pillar of strength. When she finally fell into a restless, medication-induced sleep, I'd sit by her side for hours, just holding her hand. I was afraid to blink for too long, terrified that in that split second she might need me and I wouldn't be there. I was so focused on being strong for her that I never stopped to consider my own breaking point. But everyone has one. And one night, my strength didn't just bend, it's completely shattered. It was 2 a.m., the kind of deep, suffocating quiet that only exists in the middle of the night. The only sound in our home was the soft, rhythmic hum of her four-pump, a constant, clinical reminder of our new reality. I couldn't breathe. I felt the walls closing in. I crept out to the balcony, the very same one where she had found me all those years ago. The cool night air hit my face, but it brought no relief. I leaned against the railing, looked out at the sleeping city, and the words tumbled out in a raw, broken whisper. I can't lose her. I pleaded to the darkness. Please, not her. My voice cracked, and then the dam broke. I sobbed. Not quiet, dignified tears, but guttural, ugly sobs that tore from my chest until I could barely breathe. Every memory came flooding back, a painful, beautiful cascade. Her laughter echoing in the kitchen, the vibrant colors of her art, the way she smelled like sunshine and lavender. I was drowning in the fear of losing it all. When the wave of grief finally receded, I turned around, wiping my face, ready to sneak back inside, and she was there, standing at the glass door, pale and weak from the treatment, but her eyes were wide awake. "You're still terrible at crying quietly," she whispered, her voice a little scratchy. I froze. A hot flush of guilt and shame washed over me. I had failed. I was supposed to be the strong one. I didn't want you to see me like this," I stammered, my voice thick with tears. She offered me a small smile, and in its tired, beautiful curve, I saw the same fire. The same unwavering love that had captivated me from day one. "Funny," she said, her voice impossibly soft. "That's exactly what you said the first time." She walked toward me, her steps slow but deliberate, and rested her head against my chest, right over my frantically beating heart. "You once told me that love is choosing to believe again and again, even when it's hard," she whispered, her words vibrating through me. "Well, now it's your turn. It's your turn to believe in me." I couldn't speak. I just nodded, my own tears falling from my cheeks and disappearing into her hair, which was slowly starting to grow back in soft little tufts. "I do," I finally managed to say, my voice choked with emotion. "I believe in you. Every single day." We just stood there, wrapped in the cool embrace of the moonlight, not as a strong person and a fragile one, but as two people just breathing together, vulnerable, real, and in that shared moment, infinite. And she did it. The treatment worked. Slowly, painfully, miraculously, she healed. It was a long road. There were good days and bad days. But slowly, her energy returned. Her laughter, once a rare and precious sound, started to fill our home again. The vibrant colors returned, not just to her canvases, but to her cheeks. On the first anniversary of her being declared in remission, she handed me a sealed, cream-colored envelope. "Open it when I'm gone someday," she said, with a playful wink that was so perfectly her asterisk. Not today. And hopefully not for a very, very long time. Just someday, I took the letter, a strange mix of apprehension and love swelling in my chest, and tucked it away. She lived. My God, she didn't just live, she thrived. We grew old. We watched the world change around us, saw friends come and go, and collected a lifetime of new memories. We filled our home with more laughter, more paintings, and a love that had been tested by fire and had come out stronger, purer. And then, many, many years later, the day finally came. It was peaceful, quiet. She was in her favorite armchair, the morning sun streaming through the window, with her hand held firmly in mine. She simply went. Sometime later, while sorting through the beautiful life she'd left behind, I found that letter again. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside, her elegant, familiar handwriting danced across the paper. "If you're reading this," it began, "it means I've gone first. And my first request is this: don't you dare cry alone this time. Let someone hear you. Let the world see you love without fear. You once cried because you thought love was fading from your life. Then you cried because you were terrified of losing a love that was too strong to imagine living without. I hope, my love, that you cry again someday. Not from pain and not from fear, but from the overwhelming gratitude of having loved at all." I smiled, a real, genuine smile, as tears streamed down my face. And for the first time in all those years, I cried again. Not in the silent darkness of a balcony, but in the warm light of our home, surrounded by her memory, her art, her unending laughter, her eternal love. She heard me cry once and taught me what love meant. She heard me cry again, and she showed me what love becomes eternal. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this story with me. If it touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more stories about the power of love and the human spirit. Until next time, take care.